All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So today we are going to be looking at something super interesting, and that is the gender disparity across the country.
Right.
And we have this incredible map that shows the predominant gender by county, and you can see like some really fascinating trends.
Yeah, it's amazing how visual it is.
Right, right.
You can just see like big swaths of the country or, one gender or the other.
Yeah, it's like the country decided to wear a patchwork quilt of like pink and blue.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
To get ready for this deep dive. Get ready for a quick burst of energy we're about to jump into. Well,
you'll just have to listen and see.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
Data on the screen, numbers come alive. Male, female flows where the patterns thrive. Visual charts, public colors unify. Gender decoded, bringing truth to light. Small drum fill. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide.
Yeah, so we found this research paper and they have this map.
Oh, cool.
And it basically color codes all the counties in the U.S.
Okay.
Like whether they are majority male or female,
Uh-huh.
or an even split.
And how do they color code it?
Yeah, so blue is male,
Okay.
pink is female, and then yellow
Gotcha.
is for when it's balanced.
Interesting.
Yeah, and just looking at it, you can kind of see all these like regional trends.
Yeah, just from the visual of it.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you think about like why.
Absolutely.
Like, what are the factors
Yeah.
that are going into this?
Yeah. What makes some areas more male-dominated, some more female? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Exactly. So let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
So one of the first things that jumps out at you
Okay.
is the East Coast.
Okay.
It is
Lots of pink.
like overwhelmingly pink.
Yeah.
Especially down in like the Southeast
Mhm.
and then parts of the Midwest.
Interesting.
You see it too.
Yeah, definitely.
So the paper kind of digs into this.
Yeah,
And one of the things they talk about is that women generally live longer than men.
of course, yeah.
And they say this is like especially apparent.
In the more densely populated areas.
Yeah, like the East Coast cities.
Makes sense.
So I guess if you have like a higher concentration of people
Uh-huh.
and women are living longer,
You're right.
that's going to kind of skew.
This is going to have a more noticeable impact
Yeah.
on those demographics for sure.
Okay, so then we look west and it's almost like the opposite.
Okay, yeah, the West is a totally different story.
Yeah, totally different.
What are we seeing there?
Yeah, so you've got states like Nevada and Utah.
Lots of blue,
Yeah.
male-dominated.
And then Alaska.
Very-
Alaska's like really blue.
Out of all the states, that's the one that always jumps out to me.
Yeah, like one of the highest male to female ratios
Yeah, it's striking.
in the whole country.
Wow.
So I was curious about that.
Yeah, me too.
So I dug into the paper a bit more.
Okay.
And it seems like Alaska's kind of a special case.
Okay. How so?
Well, they talk about how historically industries like mining,
Yeah.
construction,
Big
resource
freight gardens?
extraction,
Right. Very male-dominated.
they all tend to attract more men.
Yeah, definitely.
And Alaska's got a lot of that going on.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Like the oil pipelines,
yeah,
fishing,
all of that.
tough jobs, often attracting a younger male demographic.
So it seems like it's kind of a combination of like the types of jobs.
Yeah.
And then also that they attract a specific.
A specific demographic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's Alaska.
Okay.
But even in the lower 48, you still see this trend in the West.
Yeah, even outside of Alaska, the West definitely leans more male overall.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Right, with the history of westward expansion,
Yeah.
frontier spirit,
Yeah, it's been associated with like.
rugged individualism,
Yeah,
and those industries we were talking about.
exactly.
Mining, logging, ranching,
All that stuff.
all very physically demanding, historically male-dominated fields.
Okay, so we talked about the East Coast.
Yeah.
We talked about the West.
Uh-huh.
So where does that leave the Midwest?
Yeah, that's the interesting one.
Yeah, the Midwest is kind of like the middle ground.
Yeah.
Literally.
Lots of yellow on the map there.
Yeah, lots of yellow, a lot more balanced.
More of an even split between men and women.
Yeah, so states like Nebraska, Iowa,
Yeah.
they're showing a pretty even split.
Interesting.
And I think the paper suggested this because of like
Okay.
the strong agricultural communities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like you think about farming families,
Mm-hmm.
it's often like multi-generational
Right.
people tend to stay put.
Less population churn, less migration in and out.
Exactly.
So the demographics are more stable.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so it's not just like an East Coast, West Coast thing.
No, definitely not.
The paper also talks about urban versus rural.
Oh, yeah, that's another layer to this.
Yeah.
Fascinating how that plays out.
Yeah, so in general, it seems like urban areas,
More women,
tend to have more women.
especially in some of those big cities.
Yeah, like if you think about California, New York, Florida.
Yeah, those are some heavily populated states.
Yeah, and their big cities tend to lean female,
Interesting.
whereas a lot of rural counties,
Especially out west.
yeah, especially out west, they tend to have more men.
Huh. So we're seeing that rural-urban divide play out in the gender distribution as well.
Yeah, and they talk about a few reasons for this in the paper.
Okay.
One thing they mention is healthcare access.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like urban areas tend to have more hospitals,
More specialized clinics.
more doctors.
Right. More options overall.
Yeah, and that could be playing into the longer lifespans for women.
Yeah, and it's not just the quantity of health care.
Right.
It's also the types of care that are more readily available in cities, like specialized reproductive health services.
Yeah.
Which often might be limited in more rural areas.
Yeah, exactly.
So that could definitely be a factor.
Okay, so we talked about healthcare,
Uh-huh.
but then there's also migration,
Yeah, that's a big one.
which we touched on a little bit earlier.
Definitely, but it's
It's a key driver of demographic shifts.
Yeah, like when people move for jobs or for, whatever reason.
Right, it's going to impact the gender balance of those areas.
Yeah, they specifically mention states like North Dakota
Oh, yeah.
and Wyoming.
The oil and gas boom.
Yeah, and how those industries tend to attract.
A predominantly male workforce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you see those states becoming more male-dominated.
Yeah, it's a direct link between economic opportunities
Uh-huh.
and shifting demographics.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how these things are all interconnected.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not just about gender, it's about economics.
Yeah.
It's about social factors.
Right.
It's about history.
It's like all these things coming
That's-
together. Yeah, it paints a really complex picture of how these demographics evolve over time.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Absolutely.
It's not just like a simple answer.
Right. There's no single explanation.
It's like a puzzle with all these different pieces.
Yeah, and by looking at gender distribution, we're actually getting a glimpse into all these other fascinating trends.
Exactly.
Like migration patterns,
Yeah.
healthcare access,
Uh-huh.
economic opportunities.
Yeah, and so for anyone listening out there,
Yeah. What can they take away from all this?
yeah, I think it's just like a reminder that demographics are constantly changing.
Yeah, they're not static.
They're not just random.
They're shaped by these really complex forces.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, what are the implications of all this? Like,
Yeah.
how do these gender distributions affect different communities?
Yeah. Great question.
Like, do they influence things like local politics
Interesting.
or healthcare needs
Uh-huh.
or even like social dynamics?
Yeah, like how people interact with each other.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's about all we have time for today.
Yeah, but it's definitely a topic worth exploring further.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a good one.
See you next time.
See ya.